Hey guys, it's Adrian from Adrian's Adventure. The most frequently asked questions from some of my viewers and subscribers. And as you can see, based from the titles, I'm going to answer how much does an English teacher earn? And is it easy to find a job here in Turkey? And I hope at the end of this video I'll be able to answer these frequently asked questions from you guys, and I hope this video will help you out in deciding whether you want to come here or settle here in Turkey. So without much further ado, let's start. As you can see guys, I actually have some notes here to make sure that I don't forget any essential details that I really want to share in this video. So I want to start off by telling you guys that if you plan to work or if you're working in big cities as compared to medium and small size cities here in Turkey, there is really a major difference in terms of salary. So you cannot expect that when you go to a medium size city, let's say Eskişehir or Taya, like the salary range is very different as compared to major cities here in Turkey like Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir, Antalya, Bursa. As you can see here guys, I actually have some notes so that I won't forget any essential details that I really want to share with you in this video. So I want to start off this video by telling you guys that here in Turkey, big cities or major cities as compared to medium and small size cities, there's really a big difference in terms of salary. So if you're planning to teach English here in Turkey, if you plan to teach in Istanbul as compared to if your friend is teaching somewhere in a medium sized city, of course there's really a big difference in terms of salary. I think it applies in almost all country. Like if you work in big cities, like you expect that the salary is higher as compared to medium and small size cities. So big cities like Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir, Antalya, Bursa, so their salary range is higher as compared to medium sized cities. And I made a categorizations here of schools here in Turkey, and I categorize it based on private, public, or courses. Let's start with the private institutions. So private institutions here in Turkey, I classified it either international or non-international institution. Let's say if you're working in an international school, most of these schools, they prefer native speakers, but it doesn't mean that they don't hire non-native speakers. They still do, but in terms of preference, they just prefer native speakers. The salary range, if you are working in big cities, major cities, let's say in Istanbul, for native speakers, the salary range is from 2,000 USD to 3,000 USD. Now, let's say you're a non-native speaker and you are teaching in an international school. For non-native speakers, their salary ranges from, this is in Turkish lira, okay, around 8,500 to around 12,000 Turkish lira. Those are for non-native speakers. However, now let's say you want to work in a private institution, but not in an international school. The salary range in big cities, in major cities, it ranges around like 5,000, 4,500 to 5,000, starting in that range to around like 8,000 Turkish lira. Again, this depends on your experience, qualifications, and also certificates. Okay, but let's say you are in a medium-sized city. Like for instance, I'm in a city called Eskişehir. It's a medium-sized city. The salary range for English teacher here in a private institution normally ranges around 4,000 to 6,000 Turkish lira per month. Okay. However, in Turkey, this is the interesting part about Turkey, is that there's a lot of courses here in Turkey. But these courses are not only limited for like English courses. It could either be math, science, music, swimming, volleyball, all kinds of sports, and all kinds of courses that could be related in their academics. Now in Turkey, as what I mentioned, courses are very common, and especially English courses. And normally, if you work in courses or English courses, they either paid you monthly or per hour. So let's say you work in big cities, the hourly rate for individual who works in courses, or dershane is what they call it in Turkish, is around 50 Turkish lira. So let's say you're working for about 6 hours every day. So 6 hours times 50 is around 300 Turkish lira per day. So that is your salary per day. And you just do the math for a month. Okay. Now there are also courses that are paid monthly. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in big cities they pay around 3,500 to 5,000 Turkish lira. It really depends on the institution. If the institution is big, of course they have more capacity to pay you in higher range as compared to institutions that are smaller, or just starting up, or just trying to grow in this field. Now let's say you're in a city like mine. Here the hourly rate, the highest rate I know is around 35 Turkish lira. So let's say you work for like 3 hours per day. You just multiply it to 35 times 3. So you just do the math. So that is how courses work here in Turkey. Let's say you're planning to work in public school. Actually, I don't know much about public school, but I just remember one of my friends who used to work there. He just goes there for speaking classes. So he was paid in an hourly rate. It was here in a medium-sized city. He was paid around 50 Turkish lira for speaking activities with students. But in public school, they don't do speaking activities for all levels. Normally, they just would hire a native speaker or a foreign teacher who would do speaking activities to university students. So not all public school would really hire a foreigner or to teach English to their students. And another thing, I just want to include this. So if you're working in Turkey, would they provide work permit or health insurance? The answer is yes. If you're working in a private institution, let's say international school or even non-international schools, they do provide work permit and health insurance. However, let's say you're working in an English course, a dershane. Now, some of them they do provide, but not all. If you're working in a small dershane, the chances of you being provided a work permit is very low, because most of the time these small dershane don't have the capacity to provide work permit for you. So if you're planning to work as part-time or even full-time in an English course, make sure that you ask first or do your research before you commit in an institution, whether or not they can be able to provide you a work permit or and health insurance. And I also included this in my list. Now, based on what I said, this is the salary range and the like. Is it enough here in Turkey? Maybe if you convert it in dollar, maybe you say is so small. Maybe I cannot survive here in Turkey. Let me tell you this, guys, in Turkey, of course, if you are in Istanbul or Ankara, renting a place is quite expensive, but if you're earning around, let's say, 8,000 Turkish lira, you can survive in Istanbul. Prices here of goods and commodities are not so expensive. Like for instance, I'm here in Iskishi here and I'm renting a small apartment, let's say 1 living room, 1 bedroom, a toilet and kitchen. I just pay less than $100 per month, excluding utilities, of course. So if you're worried about like whether you can save or is it enough for you to survive here in Turkey, yes, it is enough for, like the salary that you earn here is enough for you to survive your living condition and lifestyle here in Turkey. But here's the thing, if you're working part-time, that's a different story also. Let's say you're working in a dershane part-time. It really depends on how many hours you work as compared if you work full-time. And lastly, guys, I will answer the question, is it easy to find a job here in Turkey? Now, if you come in Turkey around summertime, the chances of you finding a job is higher as compared if you come, let's say, during the school year or during the semester. The best time to come here in Turkey if you're planning to look for a job is somewhere around May, June, July, because that's the time where institutions are really looking for teachers or hiring. It doesn't mean that they don't do online interviews or online application. They do. But if you're here in Turkey, that's the best time to apply for a job around those time. Now, let's say you come around August. It might be hard to find a job around that time because, you know, classes would start around September. And that's all for this video, guys. I really hope I was able to answer your questions. And I hope this video has enlightened you if you're planning to come here in Turkey, or if you're already here in Turkey, like what are the salary ranges here, or is it possible for you to find a job here? And if you have any other questions that you want me to answer, just comment down below and I will try my best to really answer those questions or make a video about those questions that you would like me to answer. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye!